Steph Curry back in action tonight. Can the Warriors still be a playoff threat? The Bucks have been bounced earlier than expected the last couple years. So why isn't Giannis all about making sure it doesn't happen again this year? And is it championship or bust for Kevin Durant and those Brooklyn Nets? Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to First Things First. We have a fantastic show for you today. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall's feeling it, and some Kevin Wilds. All right, Brandon, you're next. Is it title or bust? And is it fair of me to ask?
Oh, Jenna, you know it's title or bust, but we don't hold that pressure. We understand what it is. We'll be fine. We'll be just fine, Jenna. Just fine.
Wait.
Measured
Title or
response.
bust, but no pressure. I don't know.
No pressure.
I don't know.
Okay, that's the story in the East. We got to start out West. The Lakers now locked in that 7th seed, getting ready for the Phoenix Suns. A cakewalk it will not be.
Nobody should walk on cake.
The Suns, they got youth. The Suns have Chris Paul. The Suns have the regular season edge over the Lakers. But the Lakers are the defending champs, and the Lakers star LeBron James. So, Nick, do the Phoenix Suns have a chance in this series?
Jenna Wolfe, I am going to surprise you, Kevin Wilds, Brandon Marshall, and America right here. Yes, the Suns have a chance in this series.
Here we go.
The Suns are
the
best team LeBron has played in the playoffs since he was a Cav. This year's Suns are better than any team the Lakers played last year en route to the championship. This year's Suns are the second best team in the Western Conference, behind only the Lakers. And I will break a little news here. I don't know if this will surprise America, or I don't know if it'll surprise Kevin Wilds or America or Brandon, Jenna. The Suns are up 1-0 in this series. The Suns are going to win on Sunday. I would be legitimately shocked if the Lakers won Sunday for a number of reasons. One is LeBron likes to use these first games as feel-out games. Hell, you saw him try to use the first half of the play-in game as a feel-out game. So I think the Suns are going to be up 1-0. With all that said, do I think the Lakers are going to lose this series? Of course not. Do I think that there will be moments where it's like, oh, the Lakers are in for a fight? Absolutely. Do I think this will be the toughest series the Lakers play until the NBA Finals? I do. I think that the Suns have the ability to take this Lakers team 6 games. I do not think anyone else in the West has the ability to take this Lakers team more than 5 games. So if it goes 6, you got a chance, because then you're 1 game away from it going 7. So am I picking the Suns? Of course not. Would I be shocked if the Suns won the series? I would. But can I write them off the way I wrote off Portland and Denver last year? I can't. I put the Suns in the same category I put the Rockets in last year, which was the Rockets I thought could present some problems. The Lakers ended up beating them in 5, of course, anyway, Brandon. But so for your beloved Suns and my beloved Chris Paul, I will say they have a chance. It is a slight chance, but it is a chance in the first round against the Lakers.
So it sounds like you really wanted to say, or the question that you really wanted Jenna to ask was, does the Lakers have a chance? That's what it sounds like, right? Because you got the Suns #2 seed in the West. You got the Lakers just played in the play-in game. So it sounds like it should be flopped a little bit. That's what it sounds like to me.
No,
they absolutely have.
I think the Lakers are the better team.
You think the Lakers are the better teams? Well, I mean, they haven't shown it. I mean, they just barely beat the Warriors. What are the Warriors? 39-33. That was their overall record. LeBron James had to knock down a 34-footer to get them into the, the next round. Like, come on, man. The Suns are a really good team. It's going to come down to defense, Wilds, and it's going to come down to taking care of the basketball. When you look at the Warriors game, what did they do well? They played amazing defense. What did they do terrible? in the second half, and I was getting sloppy and turning the ball over. Well, the Suns, I mean, you can compare this team against any team in NBA history. They're super efficient with the basketball. They don't turn the ball over. So you're going to see a Suns team that could potentially dominate the Lakers. And the reason why I say that is because LeBron James isn't 100%. We don't know what type of LeBron James we're going to get. If LeBron James was healthy, then of course it would be a different discussion. If AD actually showed up this year, then of course it would be a different discussion. But AD is struggling. LeBron James is still hurt wild. So the real question is, does the Lakers have a chance?
Okay, the Lakers certainly have a chance, and I think the Suns sort of know it more than anyone. The Suns fought all year for the number 2 seed, and their reward was having to play the champs. But they got a nice little preview against the Warriors, like you were saying, Brandon. They saw sort of like what Nick likes to call Playoff LeBron, the best show on all of television, which it did a 5 rating, so congratulations, Nick. That was a good call by you. It rates well as well. But I think the Suns look at it like this. Hey, the Warriors were right in that game, and if they didn't turn the ball over, and if they had another offensive option besides Steph, they could have won the game. So Chris Paul sitting there like, well, I don't turn the ball over. I'm not sloppy like the Warriors as a team. I'll keep the ball and I'll take care of it. And I know that I can score points, me being Chris Paul. And if need be, Devin Booker has the ability to explode. Not for like a nice 26 or 28. Devin Booker we could see a 40-point game from Devin Booker in this series. Here's the other thing, Nick, and I know this is like so basic, it's being blown over. The Suns are going to have home court advantage and 11,000 people there if they don't sell their tickets. Don't sell your tickets, Suns fans. Come on. But I think home court advantage is sort of the storyline, Nick, that is getting lost in this whole thing. And as you talk about the Lakers' road to the championship, and Jared Dudley said it's going to be the hardest road to the championship, the fact that they're going to have to play in opposing stadiums the entire time, I think that's something. Yeah. And as more people get vaccinated and you start to see different states have different rules, I think California will be lagging. So you start, the Jazz, for example, I think are at 70% capacity. I think that's a thing, and I think that will help the visiting teams get over the hump in sort of the LeBron mystique when you got, 15,000, 20,000 people cheering for you.
No, I would think that I would agree with you for most teams. LeBron has won at least one road playoff game, and I think it's like 28 of his last 30 playoff series. So he'll be able to steal home court back steal home court at some point in these series. But you're right. The only series the Lakers are going to play the entire postseason where they have home court advantage is against the Clippers. And you might say, wait, Nick, the Clippers are the 4th seed. Yeah, but there are no actual Clipper fans. It's Clipper Darryl, Marcellus Wiley, and a few people that got lost on their way to Staples. So like all those games, those will be Laker fans there. But Brandon, listen, you and I have been low-key Phoenix Suns supporters. I advocated strongly for Chris Paul to win MVP, and you co-signed that. And a couple months ago, when LeBron was injured and AD was out, you put the Suns as a real championship or Western Conference championship contender, I should say. And Broussard gave you a really hard time about it. Yesterday, you seemed like you were considering picking the Suns to win this series. Are we going to get a Brandon Marshall Suns pick to win the series?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up, because this conversation, it always goes to the Lakers. It's not about the Lakers. It's about the Suns. Can we throw up the graph of the hottest team since March 6th? Of 2020, look at this. It's the Suns. This is the games before the shutdown. This is the bubble. This is this year. This is this year's playing games. Throw them all in there. Here are the hottest teams, Nick. The Suns are a really good team, and I know it's hard for us to understand this because they haven't been to the playoffs in 10 years, but Monty Williams has done a phenomenal job. If it wasn't for Thibs, he would probably be the coach of the year. So you got to give this team more credit. It's not just one of those things where, the Lakers are hurting. AD. This team is really good. So absolutely, I'm rolling with them because I don't know what I'm going to get out of the Lakers, and I know what I'm going to get out of the Suns because they've been showing me this since March 6th of 2020.
No, listen, I like it. This isn't me doing the thing where I overrate the Lakers opponent. You guys know I don't do that. I picked the Lakers to win every series last year in 5. I do have massive respect for the Suns. The key player, and it's important for us to say his name before the series starts, the swing player in this series is the guy Wilds talked about yesterday, DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton was the #1 pick of a draft where Luka Doncic went number 3. Obviously, that was a mistake, but the question is, how massive of a mistake was it? DeAndre Ayton, in his first career playoff games, is going to have to play the games of his life. If he can... He doesn't even have to play AD to a draw. If he can just lose rounds 10-9 instead of 10-8, then the Suns will have more than a puncher's chance. I think it'll be Lakers in 6, Jenna. Brandon, I think, has the Suns in 6 or 7. Wilds doesn't do picks. He's done 1 pick in the last year. It was the Warriors beat the Lakers, so now he's in retirement on them. But I think this is going to be a great first-round series.
It's a great series. Yes, it is.
All right, we got a lot more on this matchup.
Let's put something on it.
Let's stay out west. Talk about tonight's playing game. Okay. Let's do that in a commercial break. I got about 10 more seconds I got to read here. Can Steph Curry and the Warriors get it done tonight and remain a serious playoff threat? That'll be discussed next. First things first. Now, you guys, carry on. Stay calm, but do it. NBA MVP finalists were announced yesterday. Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Steph Curry. They're your 3 players up for the award. That means no Giannis, who's won this award the last 2 seasons, and it means, earmuffs, Nick, no LeBron. So, Brandon, the NBA MVP finalists are blank.
I'm going to actually go first here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm mad. Listen, folks, NBA MVP voters, you almost got this right. Nikola Jokic is 2nd. Joel Embiid is 3rd. Steph Curry is 4th. So your finalists have 3 of the top 4. But your finalists are missing the actual MVP in Chris Paul. So I would say it's expected but disappointing because we know Nikola Jokic is going to win, but I was hoping that CP3 could finish top 3. Now we know he's not even finishing top 3. Makes me concerned he won't finish top 5, which would be criminal. So I would say it's expected but disappointing, Jenna.
And I will say it's all worthy. They're all worthy. That's what this is. Listen, Joel Embiid, most dominant NBA player to date today, but he didn't play enough. Steph Curry, he went on a 2-month tear, so he deserves to be in this conversation, deserves to be right here, but you have to do it all year. And then you have LeBron James. If he didn't go down, he would have been here. You have Kevin Durant. You have even Kyrie Irving. You have all the Nets. You have James Harden. All could have been a part of it. But just too much going on in Brooklyn. Didn't play enough. So Jokic, a guy that we didn't talk enough about. You can even throw CP3 in there as well. But he actually played exceptional all year. And he played at a high level. It won't be the sexiest MVP, but guess what? It's well-deserving if he goes down holding up that trophy. All worthy. All worthy.
All right. See, I don't understand the strategic value in releasing the 3 MVP finalists. Just more is better. We've had more playoff basketball. It was better. The NFL increased their season. It's going to be better. The Oscar nominees increased Best Picture and Best Director. And guess what? It's better and more interesting. So, instead of just saying, hey, here are your 3 MVP finalists, say, here are the top 10 MVP finalists, and then we can have a big debate about it on this show. And then Julius Randle, when you're talking about his career, be like, he was an MVP finalist. It's just more fun. More is better. So from now on, jettison the top 3 and open it up to a top 10. More fun, more interesting.
Wilds is on to something here. I understand why they released 3 for all the other awards, because all the other awards you only submit a 1st, 2nd, 3rd. MVP you submit a top 5. So they really could announce everyone who received even a single MVP vote and then do a slow drip of whittling it down from, call it 11 guys to 8 guys to 5 to 3. It's a good idea, Wilds. This is why Wilds used to consult for the NBA. They should hire him back, but only if they give me a vote.
Is that true? Is that true information? Is that true?
Call Evan.
Wow. Who are you, man?
That's true.
Tonight's final play-in game, Warriors, Grizzlies. This for the 8th seed in the West. Steph said we'll be ready after the Warriors got beat by the Lakers. But Brandon, what if they're not ready? So Steph and the Warriors losing to the Grizzlies would be blank.
Hollywood, this is like a movie. Steph Curry and the Warriors, they're top in the NBA for years, and then they don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row. It's like a movie, man. And then guess what, Nick? He goes out to Los Angeles and joins your boy LeBron James. So Hollywood.
So listen,
come on, man.
Related to our last topic and this topic, little catchphrase. Fire Evan, hire Kevin. Evan's the guy that created the play-in. Everyone's like, oh, LeBron wants him fired. Oh, he got a 5 share. Oh, Evan, he's going to get a promotion. This might be LeBron vindication. Let me just tell America some facts. Without the play-in game in the East, the 7 seed would be Boston, the 8 seed would be Washington. After 3 bad play-in games out East, the 7 seed is Boston, the 8 seed is Washington. Out West, without the play-in game, the 7 seed would have been the Lakers. Now, that was a very fun, great game, but with the play-in game, the 7 seed is the Lakers. And without the play-in game, we had 5 days ago, the last day of the regular season, Memphis play Golden State with the 8 seed on the line. That would have been a de facto playoff game. Golden State won. Now they have to go do it again. So without the play-in game, they would already be there, which is what everyone wants. So while everyone's like, oh, LeBron's salty, LeBron's scared, he's trying to get Evan fired. Well, let's just wait and see, because if the Warriors end up losing, this will be total vindication for LeBron's take, which is, the hell we doing this for, Wildes? And while I know you love Evan Wildes, if you could replace him and take his job, maybe it would be a little, softer landing for you at least. So there you go. LeBron vindication. Okay. No, I'm just telling you. NBA, Wildes is looking for a side gig.
Stop. I support Evan wholeheartedly, and I support more basketball, which is what we got, which is also what the network support and the NBA.
You really do know
NBA
these people, Wildes.
I got lost there. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think people. This would be surprising if the Warriors lost, and here's why. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to play. I don't want to play armchair psychologist." I do. Why not? I think the Warriors have a championship mentality. They're champions. Just like how Bill Belichick was like last year, was like, what do you want us to do? We sold out. We ain't got it this year. How Popovich the last few years, like, we ain't got it. I think all the Warriors know they ain't got it. They had enough to be, let's play spoiler against the Lakers and get up for it because it felt like the finals. This game will not feel like that. They are ripe for an emotional letdown tonight. And I think the Grizzlies get into the playoffs.
Wow.
And then it'll be out with Evan and with Kevin.
Can we get back to the real question? Like, you really work for the NBA? Is that true?
No.
You really do? How's Adam Silver? Is he a cool guy?
No.
Adam Silver, is he a cool guy?
He does like Adam Silver.
Yes, he is a very cool guy. Of course he is. At what the bosses like to refer to as Bristol, I ran NBA studio programming, and I did the jump and stuff, so you interface with NBA your league partners.
Yeah.
I don't consult.
Wildes was a bougie exec.
The only consulting I do is consulting for you and Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. Yeah, before Wildes went in front of the camera, he was a puppet master. He was a bougie exec with a corner office. Wildes interviewed me 6 years ago and didn't hire me. I was like, hey, Mr. Wildes, will you put me on television? He's like, get out of here. Fly back to Houston, you idiot. That's all true.
And then you had to sign off on Wildes coming on the show.
He was like, oh, my God. That's the worst icebreaker I've ever heard. Get out of my office. I'm like, damn, I'm a failure.
We, in fact, will not talk about this later. We got to move on. Superstars aplenty preparing to get the first round of the playoffs going this weekend. Who's going to be hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy this year? Nick's revealing his playoff picks. This is going to be good. I promise you that. It is next. First things first. Back here, first things first, time for the weird and the wonderful, courtesy of Kevin Wildes. Oh, yesterday on the Diamond, Giants had the lumber out in Cincinnati. They went yard 3 times. They scored, wait for it, 19 runs in the win over the Reds. I'd say that's pretty wonderful. What was as, if not more wonderful than that, Kevin Wildes?
We're going to start with college softball, Texas A&M. And look,
Oh, my God.
from now on, I'm just going to be pro batting helmet cage. Not only is it for safety, also adds an element of humor when it works. So congratulations. You get sort of 2 for 1 there. I like that. She could have certainly taken it off, but she sort of milked it a little bit. It was great. Jenna played softball, so that was great. Hey, moving on. Stevie Wilkerson.
That you chose to listen to. That's the one thing you chose to listen to. Okay.
Oh, you played softball. You played softball. Hey, position player pitching. Steve Wilkerson, the infielder, but he's pitching. Guess what Wendell does when he sees a big meatball over the plate? He hits it out of the stadium like he's supposed to do. Oh, and Tony La Russa, avert your eyes. Kevin Cash gives him a high five. Tony La Russa would bench you for that. God knows what you're supposed to do when a position player is pitching. I guess just sit down and let your batting average go down. So great job, Kevin Cash, for playing baseball, what I like to call the right way. And here's Austin Bryce. You know what? There's not a ton to do in the bullpen. Jenna, I try to limit screen time for my kids, but at this point, I'm okay with introducing some Nintendo Switches for these poor guys. Because when you're down to unraveling a baseball, you know what? Let's just get some old Nintendo Game Boys in there. Let's play Tetris or something. Screens aren't all bad, but that's the weird and the wonderful from the National Pastime Show.
That's very good stuff, Kevin Wildes.
Oh!
Let's shift back to some basketball. So by strike of midnight tonight, we're going to have the NBA playoff field finalized. You got Grizzlies and Warriors playing for the 8th seed. Then round 1 starts Saturday afternoon already. So now seems like the perfect time for Nick to make his official playoff picks. Nick, take it away, my friend.
Let's go.
All right,
Mr.
so
Perfect.
First we've got to deal with the play-in. I believe the Warriors are going to win tonight's play-in, and so this will be the Western Conference bracket. And by the way, as Wildes mentioned, called me Mr. Perfect, last year, my Western Conference bracket, perfect. My Eastern Conference bracket, thrown off by the damn Miami Heat. But it was the most, if you know, people track these things, it was the most accurate playoff predictions of any NBA analyst in America last season, was the one given right here on this show. So pay attention.
That's right.
All right, first round in the West right now. A lot of people are going to say Jazz are going to win. The Warriors are going to win. The Jazz are going to win. I'm not high on the Jazz, but the Warriors, Brandon's point that they were a 39-win team for a reason is correct. I think the Warriors can get a couple games off them. I have the Jazz in 6. If the Grizzlies somehow win tonight, then I would have Jazz in 5. I am picking against my large adult Slovenian son. It breaks my heart. Wow. I don't want to do this, but my commitment to take and gambling integrity demands I give you where I'm actually putting my money. I think it's a great series. I think Luka's good enough to get 2 of them off the Clippers by himself. His teammates will pitch in for 1 more, but in a great 7-game series, the Clippers move on. The next one is fascinating. Nuggets-Blazers. Vegas has the Blazers as a slight favorite. Not only do I not think the Blazers are the favorite, I think the Nuggets are going to score 130 points a game in this series. I think I am going to get so many DMs from Denver and Serbia simultaneously because Jokic is going to annihilate the Blazers, and they're going to win in 5, and I have the Lakers in 6. Advance to the conference finals. First time in franchise history, the Los Angeles Clippers are going to make the conference finals. They beat the Jazz in 6. The Jazz are not going to match up well with the Clippers' wings. And the Lakers easily dispatch of the Nuggets in 5. Jokic at that point is going to be a little worn out. It's going to be a lot like the Western Conference Finals last year where he couldn't handle Anthony Davis. And then the Western Conference Finals everyone wanted last year. Lakers, Clippers, going to be a classic. And it is Lakers in a gentleman's sweep. At this point, what we've seen, Kawhi probably limping down the stretch of a playoff run after actually having to play every game. Paul George, I don't trust him, and they have no one to guard Anthony Davis. So the Lakers win the conference. Toughest series is the first round against the Suns. Now to the East. We'll go very quickly through the first round of the East. The Sixers are going to gentlemen sweep the Wizards. The Knicks in a classic against the Hawks by Game 7. Poor Trae Young's probably going to have a cracked tibia, a black eye. They're going to beat him up. They win in 7. I believe in the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to exorcise their demons of last postseason. They beat the Miami Heat in 6. And then the Nets, beat the Celtics in 5. It might be a sweep, but I'll give the Celtics 1 game. Now to the controversial part. Obviously, the Sixers will beat the Knicks in 5. I think Milwaukee beats Brooklyn. Game 6 in Milwaukee is where this magical Brooklyn run comes to a close. Drew Holiday is a massive upgrade from what they had last year in Eric Bledsoe. I believe in Giannis. They move on. And then, to me, the 2 best teams in the East all year, the Sixers and the Bucks, play each other in the conference finals. It is an epic conference finals. And the Sixers move on. Sixers in 7 over the Milwaukee Bucks, which would set up a Lakers-Sixers NBA Finals, which, Brandon, was my preseason NBA Finals, I may mention. This is a good, not an all-time, but a good NBA Finals. Lakers in 6, just like they won last year in 6. LeBron gets championship ring number 5. Nobody wants to see this. It's the number 1 seed in the East against the best team in the West. So there it is. There's your full bracket if you want to see it. The most controversial part is probably the Bucks beating the Nets and then the Sixers going to the NBA Finals. But there it is. There is my playoff picks from last year, which, again, I will remind you, got 1 series wrong last year, Bucks, Heat. That's it. So there it is. Brandon, have I convinced you? Is this the day you abandon the Nets? I think it is. I think I've done enough.
No, absolutely not. Look, it's Friday. I'm excited for the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go, catch some breeze. Look, man, Chris already got me off my pivot, so I'm going to be quick here, man. There's 3 teams that we need to talk about. We need to talk about the Nets, we need to talk about the Clippers, and we need to talk about your Lakers. Let's start with the Nets. There's no way Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden is going to lose to the Bucks in round 2. Absolutely no way. It's not happening, buddy. The second team, the Clippers. Ty Lue has totally changed this team. You're talking about Kawhi. He answered the bell, everything. Oh, he won't play back-to-backs. He's not a leader. Well, he did all of that. You are overlooking this team. This team is the real deal. And your Lakers, they stumbled. They barely got to the finish line. They are beat up. AD, I don't know what AD I'm going to get. So for you to have them going this far, it's just ridiculous. But I get it. I understand it. You're a LeBron James fan, which means you're now a Lakers fan. So you're going to ride and die for your team. No. But there's no way this bracket holds up. Absolutely
it's
not.
Just analysis.
No, buddy.
No fandom included. It's just analysis, Wilds. There's the bracket's going to hold up. I'm telling you right now, bracket's going to hold up. You know what I'm most nervous about? If I'm totally honest here, I am most nervous, Wilds, that I'm going to regret picking against my own son against the Clippers. That I've got one team that I'm known for not trusting. I got another team that is led by my scion, and all of a sudden I have the Clippers. If the Clippers beating them, my head says the Clippers will win that series because I don't think the Mavs can guard the Clippers' wings. But I thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. But Wilds, of all those picks, that's the one I'm most squeamish about.
That's what I was going to say. I called you Mr. Perfect with an asterisk because you went perfect with an asterisk last year, and I support you. I think this show thrives in 2 ways. One, where you have something controversial to say, and we just cut you down. We just try to throw as many arrows in you as possible. The other way it succeeds is by fully supporting this, which I really like. I like this entire bracket. The question for you is this, and maybe I'll throw it to Brandon. Brandon, you saw
please do.
You saw the Bucks sort of like underachieve in the playoffs for 2 years. And each year Giannis learned something, and now it feels like he's got the time. And we've seen super teams come out and struggle. The Celtics famously didn't, but other super teams take a little while to gel. Are you not worried at all about the gel factor of your Brooklyn Nets, who have only played a handful of games together, and, by the way, aren't healthy either?
7.
Hey, Kyrie Irving. Hey, Jordan. Hey, James Harden. Guys, get in here. Let me tell you what we're going to do against Giannis and the Bucks. This is what we're going to do. Build a wall. That's what everybody else did. That's what Miami Heat did last year in the bubble. Build a wall. He can't shoot. Everybody knows this. Everybody's going to be talking about it on all the other networks. They're going to be talking about it on our shows all day. We know how to stop him. So please, this makes no sense. Giannis hasn't developed. Once he's ascended from good to great, and now we're talking about going from great to elite, he needs to develop that shot. He hasn't done that. So that's why I'm not worried about the Bucks, because you need Giannis to drop 40 a night when you got these three guys that can drop 25 apiece each night.
Well, let's table the Giannis discussion for a moment because he has a great quote that I think we're going to talk about next, so we can dive further into that. But I have a Nets question unrelated to the Bucks for Brandon quickly, because I don't know if the audience has noticed, but Brandon, well, kind of, because Brandon in the last 2 shows has said the word defense more than all year combined. Warriors, Lakers, what happened? Defense. Why do you got the Suns? They got good defense. Like, all of a sudden, there's a lot of defense being talked about.
Right.
So I'm just curious if you're at all a little anxious about your Nets when you seem to be coming around that, in the playoffs, this defense is going to matter.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Well, what did I say? Mid-April is when we can start talking about defense. All right, we're past that mark, so we can talk about defense because at this level, these guys don't care, man. You can turn on the NBA game in January, February, March, and you can see these guys' effort level being extremely low. And then all of a sudden, they get in big games. They're playing on TNT, and then you see the energy. Playoff time, you see the energy. These guys know what's at stake. It's legacy play here. Kevin Durant, can he do it his own way? Kyrie Irving, can you do it your way? James Harden, you are known as one of the greatest players that never got it done. This is his moment. This is his opportunity. Blake Griffin, the same thing. Steve Nash, you are a rookie coach. You don't know what you're talking about. So these guys, because I'm looking at the competitive edge and the competitiveness that players walk around, well, people just walk around with, and in moments like this, they step up. They don't need to be a top 10 defense. They just need to be a defense that gives effort and communicates. Because offensively, you know what you're going to get. You just need to get a couple key stops throughout the game. So that's why I have the Bucks.
Okay.
I mean, excuse me, the Nets. Sorry. Oh my goodness, blasphemy! Blasphemy! Blasphemy!
Put that on the internet. Put that on the internet, America.
Wow. Hey, speaking of the Bucks, let's talk about them, because their recent playoff failures are seemingly front and center. So is it title or bust for Giannis? Wait till you hear what he had to say. That's next. First things first. First things first on a Friday morning. Chris Broussard back with us. We're talking Giannis and the Bucks. So little history here. Both last year and the year before, Bucks have been bounced from the playoffs before they should have been. Remember last year in the bubble, they lost to the Heat, who then went on to make it to the finals. But Giannis gets a crack at revenge right off the bat. Round 1, Bucks Heat. So will Milwaukee's run be any different than years past? Giannis was asked that yesterday. Take a listen.
I don't know if this year is going to be different, team. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't say that. It might be the same. Who knows? It might. We'll see. The results going to talk on themselves at the end. But at the end of the day, is that don't get too high, don't get too low. I feel like last year, probably because of the bubble, wasn't able to get away from basketball, like losing the game and just going to the hotel and seeing the players that just beat you. You like got too low by yourself, and then you listen to the media, what the media has to say, and they say, oh, they're terrible, and you kind of take it too hard, and you're like, oh man, are we terrible? So and then when you win a game, oh, they're so great. Oh yeah, we're so great. Yeah, we're gonna win the whole thing. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Just go out there, do what you do, compete. Because at the end of the day, we're not gonna win 16 games straight, and hopefully we don't lose 4 games straight.
The reporter that asked that question literally hit the jackpot with about 37 sound bites. What an interesting comment. Chris Broussard, what is your reaction to Giannis saying he doesn't know if, quote, this year is going to be different?
Well, it will be tellable if they lose this series. I'll tell you that much. But this was just Giannis being Giannis. I don't look at this as, oh, wow, he's not confident. He's unsure of himself. He's unsure of his team. I think Giannis was just being transparent and being honest, which he typically is. So I don't read too much into this quote. Look, this is going to be a tough series. This is going to be a very good series. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Miami beats them. I've deliberated about this as far as who I want to pick. I'm going with Milwaukee in 7. I think it's going to be hard fought, but I think the Bucks are a different team than they were a year ago for several reasons. One, their personnel's different. Adding Drew Holiday or replacing Eric Bledsoe with Drew Holiday is big. And then they also, of course, brought in P.J. Tucker. Drew Holiday presents problems for the defense that Bledsoe just didn't. Holiday shot 39% from 3 this year. Bledsoe 34% last year. So the Bucks are a better three-point shooting team. Last year they were mediocre from behind the arc. This year they are elite from behind the arc, which is going to make it tougher for Miami when they build that wall against Giannis because he's kicking it out to better, more accurate shooters. The other reason it'll be tougher for them to wall off Giannis, or there's a couple more. This year they had him in the mid-post more in Milwaukee. He's taking more mid-range jump shots than ever. And so it's not just going to be him coming from the top of the key trying to go downhill against that wall. Then they put a guy in the dunker spot now, which is on the baseline near the rim. So when Giannis drives, if they wall him off, he can dump it off to the guy at the dunker spot. So those are some ways they're going to be able to combat what Miami does defensively against Giannis. Not that it won't be effective at all, but it won't be as effective as last year, I don't believe. And Miami was a great three-point shooting team last year, second in the league. This year, middle of the pack. Tyler Hero and some of these guys that played great in the bubble have not been the same this season. So for those reasons, I'm going with Milwaukee, but I think it's a tough series.
I think it's a tough series. I think it's Milwaukee in 6. But I want to talk about Giannis's words and then Milwaukee's actions. Like, Giannis's words to me are like Broussard said. It was his version of LeBron saying you put the work in and you trust the results. Like, which we've heard LeBron say again and again. Where Giannis like, listen, I can't guarantee you anything, but I just know that, you know, what we're rooting for. I also think that Giannis and the Bucks' history in the playoffs is being slightly misremembered by people. 2 years ago, they won 8 of their first 9 games en route to the conference finals. They were up 2-0 on Toronto, and Game 3 went to double overtime. They lost that game, and then it snowballed away from them. Also, in the moment, that looked bad, but now that we know Toronto won the title, it doesn't look quite as bad. Now, obviously, last year's series against Miami was horrifying on all accounts, but also, Miami ended up being a little better than people thought. They make the finals. They end up going 6 with the Lakers, even though they deal with the injuries. But Wilds, here's why I believe in Milwaukee. Because they, at the end of the regular season, did the bizarro Clippers. They played Miami in Game 71. They could have easily lost that game on purpose, rested Giannis, and you know who they'd be playing in round 1? The Knicks. Maybe the Hawks, but definitely not Miami. They played their guys to beat Miami, to set up this series. I think because they know, guys, we have to get over that mental hump because no matter who we play in round 1, round 2, Brooklyn is coming. There you go. And the idea of, oh, let's try to beat the Knicks or the Hawks. You need to get over whatever mental baggage you have from previous playoff failures if you're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Nets, who have no baggage whatsoever. They've already crowned themselves champions. They did it the moment they traded for Harden. They started playing in their parade. So I like their actions, to me, Wilds, are a wildly confident team because they signed up to play Miami knowing what Miami did to them last year.
Yeah, it's a quiet confidence, and it's a singular focus, too. Earlier this year, Giannis is like, we like being sort of underrated. We like being quiet. No one's talking about, hey, you know, Milwaukee should win the title. You don't hear that a lot. We didn't hear any Giannis should win his another MVP chatter. We didn't hear it. We didn't hear it from Giannis. We didn't hear it from his teammates. They just seemed totally focused. We also didn't hear any drama out of Milwaukee. Guys didn't miss a ton of games.
Yeah.
Their guys, like, where was the drama? So it is just this quiet confidence that Giannis has, Brandon.
Right.
It reminds me of like when you show up at sort of like a pickup run, and there's people out there with all sorts of different energy levels, but there's one guy that's just kind of like struts onto the floor, like, uh-oh, that guy's the best player on the court. So I just feel like Giannis and the Bucks are just singularly focused on the title and sort of like keeping distractions away. I think they're going to do really well.
And I think it's bigger than just one game or this season, you know, a title run. It's the way of the athlete, right? Like, you know, I know a lot of people listening to this may look at it and say, what is Giannis talking about? But when I sit down with athletes, and I've been sitting down with youth athletes since 2012 when I opened up a performance facility, and it's from ages 7 all the way through pros. And there's two things I always give them, 2 books: The Way of the Peaceful Warrior and Body Mind Mastery, because this is what you want. You want an even kill player, because an even kill player, no matter the situation, they're going to be able to perform at their highest level. Now, what Giannis said is interesting, and everybody out there listening, whether you're an athlete or not, you should really listen and tap into this. He said, when we win, don't be hanging from the rafters. When we lose, don't drop your head. We saw LeBron James do that in this play-in game against the Warriors. You didn't see LeBron James smile. You saw LeBron James hit a 34-footer, and he didn't even smile. He just looked at it. He said, my eye, my eye, my eye. Most players in that moment, they're running, they're jumping on the scores table. Now, there will be moments for that. But LeBron James knew that we're just now getting started. We have 2 more months of basketball potentially. So we got to be locked in. Go into the press conference. LeBron James, same tone. And you're going to see that. So Giannis is actually right where he needs to be. But the only problem with Giannis is he needs a shot. That's what we need. We need a shot. Mentally, his mindset is right. That's why he's a great player. But we need you to go from great to elite. And elite, you need to be able to hit that shot, because this is modern NBA.
No, that's right.
We need you to hit a 34-footer. That's what we need, Giannis.
No. That's right. And if he does somehow develop a shot, then in the series against the Nets, he'll average 50 instead of the 40 he averaged in the regular season against them without a shot. So, like, I agree, a shot would be good, but without the shot, he averaged a humble 40 per game. And I do think for Giannis, playoff failure against the Raptors, Kawhi, at the time, one of the best defenders in the league. Last year against the Heat, you have Bam, maybe the best defender in the league, certainly on the short list. If they get through Miami, I understand Broussard and Brandon be picking the Nets in that series. Nobody on the net, Giannis is going to feel like, oh my God, I'm finally free a bit. Like I can do what I do. Now maybe the Nets can outscore him, but the toughest defense he's going to play, at least early, Miami's would be tough, Philly would be tough.
Nick,
the Nets would be a nice
question?
little oasis for him. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. So are you picking the Bucks because of defense? Is that what it is? Is that what it's coming down to? It's just defense?
Yes. I think defense, and I think Drew Holiday's a massive upgrade for them from last year. And I do like, if they would have ducked the Heat, I wouldn't be confident in them. The fact that they went out of their way to play the team that beat them tells me they believe in themselves in a way a lot of teams don't, Jenna.
Some of those teams being the Clippers, of course. Back talking tonight's playing game. Can Steph and the Warriors get the win, remain a serious playoff threat? We'll have that for you next. First things first. And we are talking about the Brooklyn Nets, who did qualify. I'm sorry, my bad. The favored to win the title, Brooklyn Nets.
Right.
Finally going to see the big 3. I'm putting some respect on it. It's what you always say. Putting some respect on it, Brandon. Finally going to see the big 3 together again. They've only played 8 games as a unit this season, but that hasn't changed the weight of the championship expectations.
Doesn't
the dreaded
matter.
word, expectations. Kevin Durant was asked about that yesterday. Listen to this.
Us players don't think about stuff like that. We know that's your job and that's how y'all view stuff, but we know how tough it is to play this game every day, and we in here every day. So we got a different vantage point to y'all. So I understand with the stuff on paper and how teams look and, how accomplished the players on our teams are. But for us, we respect the game and our opponents too much to come in and say, look, we expected to win this. No, we coming out there and understand that we can't be beat if we don't lock in.
All right, Brandon, I'll start with you. Is it title or bust for the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh, bust for sure. 100% bust. I mean, let's go back to November when James Harden was in Houston and he's talking about, hey, listen, I want out and I want to go to Brooklyn. He said where he wanted to go and he made that happen, Nick. You told me, it would never happen. It would never happen. Well, it happened. And then you have Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA. And KD, he's number 2 as far as behind LeBron James when it comes to efficiency and being the best and being able to do it all. Now, not the most dominant, because you guys know who I have as the most dominant NBA player because he's 7 foot and he can do a lot of things. That's Joel Embiid, but we'll put that out there. But look, it is bust. Now, I know everybody's talking about chemistry, continuity. They only play 8 games. We hear all of that. But at the end of the day, this is basketball. And we're talking about modern NBA. And that's what it's about, getting buckets. And there's nobody better than these 3. You can arguably say that they have the best scorers in the NBA. So, yes, it's bust. I know Nick want to talk about defense all he wants. But your defense better be able to hold these guys to under 120 because that's what they bring to the table. We're talking about 25 points a night between the 3. That's a lot of defense that you need to have to be able to stop them. So absolutely, it's bust if they don't get it done.
So I'm actually not going to be quite as hard on the Nets as Brandon. I think getting to the finals will make this season at the very least a push. I think if they get to the finals and lose to the GOAT, that happens. It happened to a 73-win team. It's happened
Jordan's
to a team
coming back?
in San Antonio with 4 Hall of Famers. Stop it. Don't discredit yourself. It happened to a team in Oklahoma City with 3 MVPs. Like a lot of all-time great teams get to the finals and get dispatched by LeBron. So I think if they get to the finals, it is a success. I think if they come up short of the finals, it is definitely a bust. But Wilds, I'm going to put your NBA long-term programming hat on for a moment. I would argue it is far better for the league over the next, call it 3 seasons, if the Nets do not win the title. So think of the 2 most recent super teams prior to Brooklyn. The one with LeBron in Miami and when KD went to the Warriors. Which was more interesting, intriguing, and had more drama? Without a shadow of a doubt, Miami's LeBron team. Why? Because they lost. Because it didn't feel like it felt like it was going to be a given when they did not 6, not 7, not 8. But once LeBron had his bad moments and they lose in year 1, then all of a sudden, year 2 is wildly exciting because if they lose again, it's a total failure. That leads to LeBron's Game 6 in Boston. Then the next year, it's like, okay, you won 1 title, you promised multiple, now you've got to at least repeat, and it leads to the Ray Allen shot and then LeBron's 37 points in Game 7. Year 3, can you three-peat? No, you can't. They break it up. The Warriors, they roll through everyone year 1, and then year 2, the 2018 season, it felt like all we were talking about was free agency. Like it's like the season didn't matter. So if you're the league, if you're a fan of a team, if you're a fan of Toronto and you're like, my team's out of it anyway, I feel like it's better for the Nets to have a real piece of adversity this season because it makes the upcoming season so much more interesting. Because if I'm wrong about them, and they just crush everyone. They just win these playoff games. Defense don't matter. 135, 120 on the strength of KD, Harden, and Kyrie. All of a sudden, you're like, well, What's gonna, like, unless Steph does leave the Warriors and joins the Lakers, like, how's anyone gonna beat them? So I think it's better for the league if they don't win the championship.
It's definitely better for the league if they don't win. Definitely better. And although it would be great to get them to the finals, so you had the best scenario is Lakers Nets in the finals. But the biggest challenge the league has is trying to make the regular season feel like it has urgency. And that's why we see things like the play-in game, like they felt urgent. You know, the golden goose is the NFL, that every game feels urgent. So the idea that this season has been so weird, that you saw guys miss so many games, and if it just goes chalk of the best teams, not the seeding, that the Lakers, you know, miss a ton of games and get to the finals, and that the Nets only play 8 games and get to the finals, it starts to be very odd on like, hey, we got to take the regular season seriously. The regular season matters. But Nick, to your other point, someone is going to have that storyline. It's either going to be Joel and Ben being like, oh, we thought this was our time and we failed again. It's either going to be Giannis, we made it, or it's going to be the big three in Brooklyn. So we're going to get the storyline of a superstar team thought they had enough and they came up short either way. And one of those teams is going to have to make a major move in the offseason because I don't think they can run it back again, Brandon.
Yeah, but wow, it's not the same impact though. You know, I get what you're saying, but you know, these three together, I mean, that's the storyline. So what you guys are saying, it will make it more interesting next year. But also the flip side of it, if those boys go out and they run the playoffs and they win, that's all we're going to be talking about next year is who's going to beat them. So it's also going to be good for the league if they go out there and win, and they have the opportunity to do that. Because Jenna, you talked about it earlier. What? They only play 8 games together? We really don't even know what we're going to see. We know we're going to see a lot of offense, but is it really going to work? Defensively, that's the question, too. Are they going to be able to get some stops? Right. Are they going to be able to guard Joel Embiid? You know, so, like, this is going to be interesting for the league, whichever way it goes.
Brandon, I'm your friend. I'm going to tell you, I think your jersey's on backwards. Let's play a quick take your pick before we go. Warriors, Grizzlies. Tonight in the play-in, it's for the 8th seed out west. Brandon, back to you, buddy. Who wins, Grizzlies or Warriors? Take your pick.
Okay. So I'm going for the underdogs. What I have, the Heat over the Bucks. Who else did I pick, Nick? I picked another one, but I'm going to go here because I forgot my other one. I'm going to go with the Grizzlies.
Suns over the
John
Lakers.
Morant's come down the train, so I'm going with there we go. Suns over the Lakers. There we go. Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I think it's Grizzlies, Nick. I think a championship team like this, like the Warriors, know they don't have enough to compete, and they're going to take their foot off the gas and lose tonight.
I understand all that, and I don't think the Warriors should have to beat this team twice. They already beat them on Sunday. But the way they guarded John Morant this past Sunday, they're going to do it again. Memphis' offense going to grind to a halt. Warriors win in a low-scoring game, Jenna.
I'm with you, Nick. Have a great weekend, everyone.